Alrighty, let's get started. So this is a VOD review for a player named Adrastia. I apologize for not pronouncing that right if I didn't. And they made a post in the Overwatch, sorry, in the Animains subreddits, and in their post they mentioned they're brand new to playing Ana. They're a console player. They're trying to work on their aim, and they're asking for feedback on this game and any tips or advice that you would give to a newbie. Okay, so let's go ahead and start this. Just before we start, let's and before we actually start the VOD, let's talk about some things about Ana and like what she's good at, and some things to consider when you're trying to fit her into a team comp. So Ana is very good at single target healing. Her rifle can heal one person at a time. She does have her nade, which can splash onto multiple teammates, but generally she's good for single target healing, right? Her strengths are her her cooldowns. She provides a lot of utility to the team. Her biotic nade is very strong. If you can land it on the enemy team, it'll deny them from being able to be healed. It does 60 damage. Um, and she has one of the strongest forms of CC in the game, right? Her sleep dart, if it can be landed, can take an opponent out of the game for up to about 4 seconds or so. So, she's a very strong character. She has very high healing output. Her utility is great. Her ultimate Nano Boost is very strong as well. In addition to providing a instantaneous heal, it gives a damage buff to whoever's being nano boosted, and also gives them damage resistance so that they can be a little bit more tanky as well. So, there's a lot of different ways you can play the character, but these are some ways and things to think about. What she's strong at, what she's good at. In fitting Ana into a team comp, we generally like to think about two different things. One is heal priority, and two is our nano boost priority. And so for heal priority, in your team comp, so you have Sig, your DPS is Ashe, Genji, and then you have Ana Mercy. So generally, when you have an Ashe and a Mercy, these two generally like to stick together. Your Mercy will be generally hard pocketing your Ashe, so generally don't need to worry about her too much. So it will be on you to keep your Sig alive, and if you can, heal your Genji if if he's within LOS. A lot of times Genjis like to go on flanks. They like to play in ways to get behind an enemy team. You won't always have LOS on them, so if you can, you try to tell them in voice comms, hey, like, can't see you, but generally, these two will be your job to keep them alive if you can. Okay. And then finally, let's talk about some of the weaknesses that Ana has. So, you know, like most other support characters, she's very squishy. Two, she has very low mobility. She has, no way to, climb or teleport like Kiriko, or nothing like that to try and escape. So if you position poorly, you can get punished for it very well. So her positioning on Ana is key. It's one of the most important things to consider as you're learning the hero. So anyway, let's start the VOD. And we'll speed it up, and I'll try and point things out as we go. So let's skip a little bit. So I had watched this VOD previously, and I know this first fight is kind of chaotic. I think your team dies in like the first 10 seconds. So there's not really much you could do there. Your Sig falling off the map and Genji dying right away isn't great. So essentially the fight is lost. Right? There's like 10-15 seconds have passed, and your team has already died. So in this case, what I would do, if you know that the fight is lost and everyone is dead, you have two options, right? You need to either run away to try and get back to your team who's respawning, or you need to die, right? Die. You just jump on the cart and die, so that way you don't get staggered, right? The worst thing you could do is try to do some like lingering damage, and then you die very late, and then leading into the next fight, your team will be down one of the teams, especially a healer, which is very important. So before we pass on this, in general I would say I like this positioning up here. It's it's fairly good. You have good sight lines of the cart. If you want to go for an anti-nade, you can. It's unfortunate everyone died, but it's there's not much you could do. Another place that players like to play is on especially on this map. The team generally sets up here, so the tank, if you have like an Orisa or like a Ryan or whoever is, they like to set up in this area, and a lot of Anas generally like to play back. They play this cover or they play this cover, so that way they have this sight line, and then they don't have to worry about this flank in case somebody comes this way. But yeah, it's just unfortunate. Not much you could do with that first fight, so not really much to like critique outside of how long it takes us to get out, right? So we decide to run away now, and then that we get punished for it, so we die. So that's unfortunate, but in the future, if that happens and we lose most of our team, try to make up your mind whether or not you want to run away or die right away, so you don't get staggered. Okay, so yeah, right now the second team fight is starting, so we're still trying to get back, so that's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see how this goes. I would say I would like to see you go for more anti-nade. So I don't believe you've used your anti-nade yet in an aggressive fashion. You used it, I think, right before you died and it got deflected. But here, there are always times to try and land one. This positioning I would say is pretty good. It's relatively safe. Let me just get my free cam. You don't have to worry about the enemy team walking up on you. You have cover, which is good. And if you need to kite, there's a mega health pack there, or there's this bridge you can run away. So this is fairly good. The only issue I have with this position, it is safe, but the sight lines aren't the greatest. So let's see your perspective. We have to kind of peek a little bit to the left, which can put us at risk to getting shot. And then, if our team walks behind these like little planters or behind the cart, it can be tough for us to hit them, right? So other places to consider playing would be this high ground. So this high ground gives you really good sight lines of this area. It does leave you a little bit exposed, but if you do get shot, you can always kite and heal up. Or you could always drop to the back if you really need to. And especially since the enemy team doesn't have any like one-tap heroes like Widow or Hanzo or like a damage boosted Ashe, like you don't have to worry about not playing that, not being an easy target by playing on this high ground. And so you have like better sightlines of your team, and you have better sightlines of the enemy if you want to look to do damage. A more aggressive positioning that some honest take is they play this angle, right? This angle here, it is very aggressive. If the enemy team wants to walk on you, like they probably can. So I would not always recommend playing this, but if you can play here and go for an aggressive nade, it would be massive, right? If you can nade their back line, if your team is ready for it, it can be an easy team wipe if you can land that huge nade. So things to consider, right? And of how you position, but where you're at, I think it's fine. I think it's relatively safe, and that's pretty much what you're looking to do. And I think the shots are good. I know you mentioned you're trying to work on your aim, but honestly, I think your aim is very good, especially for a player who like is brand new to the hero. Like he doesn't have a lot of time played, so I'm sure as you put in more time, like your aim will get better, and just the more practice you put in. So where you're at now, I would say it's pretty good. So just keep up the good work. I think your mechanics are solid. Okay. Yeah, again, decent shot. So we win this team fight, right? Speed up. So here, like we mentioned, so with Nano priority, our Genji does have blade. So this is generally the play we want to do. Go for the Nano blade. Although I think our Genji in this game is not very good. So it is unfortunate he does get slapped, and I think he just dies eventually. So it is unfortunate, but in general, I would say Nanoblade is the way to go. good picks by your team. I would say if you can, I would say if you could, like, rotating to this angle would probably be better because it would give you better sight lines of your Sig, of your Ashe, of your Mercy, and your Genji if he plays an LOS. Here where you're at is very, very safe. The enemy team, can't, easily walk on you. But you, as you'll see, like you don't have the sight lines on your team when they go behind these crates. So like your Ashe goes in, you can't see her. Your Mercy goes there, you can't see her. Your Genji goes there, you can't see him. So it's really tough. And everyone ends up dying, which honestly, in my opinion, I don't really think it's that much on you. Like, I think your team was very aggressive there, and especially when you guys already had picks, and like, the enemy team has ults. They're just wanting you to do that, to get so aggressive so they can just punish you really easily. So it is unfortunate. I'm not sure like how much your healing could have out healed a Zarya at full beam and a nano boosted Bastion. So take that as you will, but I think you tried your best. Again, I would have liked to see an aggressive anti-nade earlier than you did, but it's fine for now. So I think, yeah, we ended up just getting wiped here eventually. So I'll just move on to the next team fight. Okay, so they grab here and they blade. They get a couple picks. Again, here is where I think your aim is really good. You get a kill on the Genji, you get a kill on the Mercy, which is massive. You get 2 picks. Yeah, unfortunately, he does get rezzed, but it is what it is. This Nano, I'm not 100% sure if I necessarily agree with it. Sig does kill the Zarya, but if we look, your Sig ults them, right? Their Zarya is like 1 HP, right? He's getting healed by the Mercy, right? So he's already being healed, and he probably would have killed her without it, right? And the problem is, like, your Genji almost has blade. A nano blade would probably be if your Genji is good, I know he's not the greatest, would probably be the more optimal play. So let's see this next team fight. So your Mercy is in really deep, so that's unfortunate. So I think I mentioned this in my text. So once your Mercy is here, it's like I get why you're playing here. You want to help your Mercy get out. Honestly, she shouldn't be behind the enemy team, but I think it is what it is. This is a pretty dangerous place to be. Like, you're kind of out in the open. There is kind of cover here, but you can get killed pretty easily. I would say if you want to keep this sight line, this corner is a better place to be, right? Because if you get damaged, look, there's a health pack right there. You can get healed. You could play this corner if you want a little bit more safer, and if you want the ultimate safest position, this is good, right? You don't have a lot of good sight lines on the enemy team, but as your tank kites back, you will have easy heals on him, and then if you would have a pretty easy chance to get a splash anti-nade against like this wall, and hit the anti against anyone who's standing there. So let's go back. So this is fine, trying to keep your tank alive. This is dangerous. Okay, so this part is where your team gets grabbed. Honestly, like, when this happens, in my mind, I'm thinking, the fight is lost. Like, I would try to kite or get out. I think in this point, if you're trying to kite, you run this way. Like, being here is very dangerous, and you can get caught out pretty easily, because there's just basically nowhere to go, and like, this is like super scary, right? Your tank is kiting, right? He's gone. Look where you are. If their team was more pushed up, like, they would have easily killed you. I think they their team for whatever reason is a little lagging behind, so you're able to get out. But it's very dangerous. Let's see. Okay, so you go for the nano on the second. Like I think it's okay. Although optimally we would like to see the nano blade. Your sig was at like 1 HP. I think he had like under like 50 HP or whatever it was. So nanoing them is fine. But in the future, you don't always have to nano if someone is that low. He does have his shield. Like, you hit a shot, you get him to above his shield, and he has his barrier he put up. And faster, a good faster way to heal is if you throw your nade. That gives 100 burst healing, and plus you shoot him once or twice, and he'll be back at full health. So, um, you know, that could have been a play to preserve your nano to give it to your Genji. And again, assuming he was better, that could lead to a team wipe. That's a team wiping ult. Like the anti nade, it's unfortunate we get picked here, but it is what it is. Okay. So this is fine. I think this positioning is okay. Well, I think the positioning back here is okay. Like, ideally here. Trying to go contest the cart honestly is not your job, right? You're a support hero. You're squishy. You have very low like self sustainability outside of your nade, and you're a high priority target for the enemy team. So, you know, given all those things, they're going to focus you first, other than the Genji, right? Most good teams will do that, right? So the better play would be to try to play this cover, or maybe this cover. Playing up here, I get what you're trying to do. You're trying to contest the cart, but your Genji's already here doing that. You don't need to do that. Your job here is just to keep him alive. Keep him alive so he can continue contesting the cart, or to try and land some of your utility on the enemy team, which you do go for it, which is good. Yeah, and this is why we don't play up here. It's just very dangerous. Um, I like this anti-nade. Good anti-nade. And it's just very chaotic. There's not really much more you can do. Like, you're trying to go for heals, trying to go for anti, so it's like you have the right idea. It's just kind of unfortunate how the fight like plays out. And I believe that's basically the end of the VOD. So overall, I would say like our takeaways from this VOD. I think you mentioned you're brand new to the hero, so you're still learning some of her mechanics. I think that her sorry, I think that overall, like, your mechanics are fairly solid, especially for someone who's fairly new to the hero. In general, I would like to see you use your anti-nade more aggressively. Anti-nade can be a very like fight-winning ability, especially if you can land it on 2 or 3 people, and they don't have anything to cleanse it with. So things like a Kiriko, or like a Zarya bubbles, or things that can cleanse status effects. And I would like to see you try to go for some more aggressive positioning. Like, the aggressive positioning, it can be risky. It can lead to you being punished more, but the alternative is it allows you for greater playmaking ability, right? Honestly, is a very like playmaking hero. She's a very like, she has a lot of carry potential. Like, if you ever watch like very high level streamers, or even like pros, like they will always go for these aggressive plays, right? Because landing a few of their cooldowns can seriously turn the fight. So I would like to see you try to go for those more, so you get in the habit of of looking for opportunities to take advantage of the enemy. And then finally, I would say your nano boost usage. Try to see scenarios where you can combo your nano boost with like one of your teammates' ultimates, or one of your teammates' like aggressive abilities. Things like nano blade, things like nano visor, things like nano ram annihilation. Or even in other cases, like if your sojourn has ult, or if your Pharah wants to go for like a certain play, like try and communicate with your team that you have nano boost, and It's usually a cue for them to get very aggressive, and they don't have to worry as much about taking damage since they're a lot more tanky. Okay, so that's it for the VOD. And then you mentioned that you wanted me to give some tips or advice to a new player. So you may have seen some of this stuff, but I'm just going to go ahead and show some of it. So that way, if you haven't already, you can always refer back to this. So let's pick Ana. A few things about Ana. So you played her. Is that there are different aiming styles. So this is her no scoping. If you notice, like, she fires a projectile, right? A dart out of her gun. So what that means is if you try to shoot a character from like a distance, you'll have to lead your shot in a way, right? If you just keep your crosshair, let's see if I keep this guy on my crosshair, and I shoot, like, I'm gonna miss because or it won't be as accurate because there's some delay in the actual like travel time of the shot. The alternative is if I zoom in, right? It's a hit scan. So I just aim directly at where I want to shoot, and it instantaneously the bullet goes, right? So I don't have to worry about any travel time. I don't have to worry about leading my shots. I don't have to worry about any of that. The downside to that, right, is whenever you fire in this way, you see this gold trail that leaves my gun. The enemy team will see that. They see it as a purple trail, and it will give away your position if you're trying to play in an aggressive way or in an aggressive fashion, and they'll try to focus you, right? So a lot of times when people are playing in these aggressive ways, they'll go for these no scope shots because it's a lot harder for the enemy team to try and track you as well. So that's a thing to consider when you're playing. And then the final, the other way of aiming you may have heard in the past is quick scoping. So like what that is like you try to take the combination of the two of having higher mobility while being able to fire. I forgot to mention this, but like a lot of times what people when they no scope, they have full mobility, right? When they scope in, they have very slow mobility. Which allows you to be more accurate, but it's easier for the enemy team to hit, right? Quick scoping right here allows me to keep my mobility, or at least most of it, and then land shots that are like more accurate than a traditional like no scope. The cost of it, though, you have a slower fire rate, and if you mess up the inputs, it will result in like not shooting your gun. So that's a lot slower than me just like firing here, this firing rate. So that's the thing to do. Quick scoping does take a little bit of practice. I would say how I first practice it. I'm still trying to, when I quick scope, after I fire, I wait for Ana to pull the bolt back on her gun. So see, when I fire here, she pulls the bolt back on her gun, and then I'm ready to quick scope again, right? If I do it too early, so let's say if I do it like there, I can't fire. See, like if I try to do that, I can't fire. But once she pulls the bolt back, then I can. So let me try one more time. So I do it to, I don't wait until the animation is done, and I can't fire. So again, animation done, animation done, animation done, animation done, animation. Okay. So those are a few things about her kit. I'm sorry if it wasn't explained in the most efficient way. Those are some things to consider: aiming styles and aiming habits. And then finally, you mentioned about practicing your aim. So let's go ahead and go to custom games. I'm not sure, how the console version of Overwatch is set up. But in PC, if you go to custom games, you can create a custom game, and then in the import code section, a popular aim training is called Vaxta, so VAXTA. What this is, it spawns you into the workshop chamber, and you have like a bunch of different heroes that are spawning, and you can aim, and you can do different things. Right, you can give yourself a boost. You can give yourself. You can make the enemies move faster. You can give them a speed boost so they go very fast, and it's just a way to kind of practice your aim against targets that change direction, against targets that move fast. It's not always the realistic movement. I know you mentioned that like aim trainers don't have the best realistic movement, but this is probably one of the better ones out there, outside of like the ones that are people are like falling from the sky, or people are like running around in straight lines. So at least here the bots kind of try to move around, and my aim is terrible, so I'm missing a bunch of shots, but you get the point, right? And here, and you don't have to only use it on Ana. You can also play other supports, or DPS, if you want to practice those as well. So, all right, well, I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry for being a little convoluted, and sorry for not being the most concise in the VOD review, but hopefully some of these points could be useful. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. The community here and on the Overwatch University subreddit, they're always about helping new players like learn the game and improve. If you mentioned if you wanted to play competitive, right, as a way to get better at the hero, I would say yes. That is probably your best bet. I would say you probably want to play a little bit quick play. That way, if you're completely brand new to the hero, like you hadn't have any time, so that way you kind of learn her mechanics, like you learn the cooldowns, you learn how, like the arc of her grenade, you learn how to aim her sleep dart, stuff like that, basic things. But to actually test yourself, comp is definitely the way to go. And I'm not sure if the console community also has teams, but a good place to also look for a competitive environment is teams who are like recruiting players. There's always teams who are recruiting players to join, and so that could be an avenue to explore as well. Anyway, so sorry for taking up your time. I appreciate you for watching, and if any questions come, always feel free to reach out and DM. All right, thank you, and have a great rest of your day, and good luck learning the hero.